I couldn't believe my eyes when two police cruisers pulled into my driveway that bright sunny afternoon. The officers approached my front door with clipboards in hand, looking all businesslike. Carol, the HOA president, stood across the street with her arms crossed and a triumphant smirk. She had called 911 on my kids for simply playing tag and laughing in our yard. My heart hammered against my chest as I stepped outside to meet the officers calmly. They explained the noise complaint from the neighborhood association president in our quiet suburb. I nodded politely while inside I felt a storm of anger and disbelief brewing. The warm afternoon sun beat down on the perfectly trimmed lawns of our HOA-governed street. My kids peeked from behind the curtains, their eyes wide with confusion and fear. Carol's pearl necklace gleamed in the sunlight as she crossed her arms victoriously. Hi, my name is Mike and I live in Evergreen Hills with my family for 2 years now. My wife Sarah and our 2 kids Jake and Emma are just normal, energetic children. We chose this suburban neighborhood for its safety and community feel under the HOA rules. The day we moved in, the sun shone brightly on the freshly painted houses around us. Carol welcomed us with cookies and a thick rule book explaining property value importance. She seemed helpful at first, but her true controlling nature soon revealed itself fully. The first complaint letter arrived about our lawn edging not being perfectly straight enough. I mowed and trimmed everything immediately to avoid any further trouble with the board. Then the basketball hoop noise became an issue, with the ball bouncing too loudly. I oiled the rim and reminded the kids to play gentler every single time. But Carol kept knocking on our door with new ridiculous demands each passing week. Her voice dripped with fake sweetness as she insisted the kids stay inside only. The neighbors started avoiding us after her whispered rumors spread like wildfire through the block. I could feel the social pressure building like a heavy weight on my shoulders daily. One weekend we hosted a small birthday party with kids running and playing happily outside. Laughter filled the gentle breeze until the police showed up yet again without warning. Carol had reported us for disturbing the peace with what she called excessive noise. The officers issued another formal warning as my kids hid scared behind Sarah. I felt the deep unfairness burning in my gut but kept my cool completely. Sarah squeezed my hand supportively while we watched the cruisers disappear down the street. That night I lay awake thinking how to fight back without breaking any rules myself. I researched the local noise ordinances thoroughly on my laptop late into the night. Music practice was allowed during daytime hours if it stayed under legal decibel limits. So I decided to set up a professional heavy metal garage studio as my perfect response. The equipment arrived by truck the next week, filling our garage with amps and instruments. The metallic smell of new gear mixed with my growing excitement as I unpacked carefully. I spent the weekend wiring everything, connecting the powerful amplifiers to the speakers precisely. Carol noticed the activity right away and fired off an angry official email immediately. I replied politely with my new city permit attached and a calm professional tone. Her furious voicemail came next, accusing me of destroying the neighborhood's precious tranquility. I smiled to myself, knowing this was just the start of my calculated counterattack plan. The first jam session with my buddies happened on a clear Saturday morning in the garage. Heavy metal riffs blasted out powerfully but stayed well within every legal boundary. The thrilling hum of the amps made my hairs stand up with pure satisfaction. Carol came marching over, her face purple with rage and her finger pointing wildly. "This is completely unacceptable," she shouted, her voice shaking with barely contained fury. I paused the music and looked at her with a calm, collected expression on my face. "Carol, this is all perfectly legal and way less disruptive than you claim," I replied smoothly. She threatened to call an emergency board meeting and have me fined into oblivion. I quietly recorded the entire exchange on my phone without her even noticing a thing. That's when things got worse, as her complaints grew more desperate and absurd daily. Over the following weeks I collected every email, every call, and every unannounced visit. The pattern of her harassment against my family alone became crystal clear in the files. Neighbors with barking dogs and loud parties received zero complaints from her at all. This selective enforcement screamed of personal vendetta and total abuse of her position. I prepared a comprehensive dossier with videos, audio clips, and dated documents ready for action. Carol made her critical error by sneaking onto my property one evening after dark fell. My security cameras captured her trespassing clearly as she muttered threats under her breath. She was planning to sabotage my setup and drive us out of the neighborhood forever. The footage was undeniable proof of her illegal actions and overreach of authority. I brought everything to the next HOA board meeting held in the packed community center hall. The atmosphere was tense as residents filled the chairs under the harsh overhead lighting. I stood up confidently and presented my evidence methodically to the entire board and audience. Carol has targeted my innocent family with baseless complaints for months, I explained firmly. The video of her trespassing played loudly, causing shocked gasps throughout the entire room. Carol tried to interrupt, her voice rising in panic as her power slipped away visibly. The board members conferred briefly before voting unanimously to remove her as president on the spot. She stormed out of the meeting in a huff, her face flushed with humiliation and defeat. The new board apologized to me publicly and promised fairer enforcement of the rules moving forward. News of the event spread quickly through the subdivision like wildfire on a dry day. Formerly distant neighbors now stopped by to chat and even compliment my metal music sessions. Jake and Emma could finally enjoy playing outside without constant fear of complaints or police. The garage studio became a fun gathering spot for local musicians on weekends now. Sarah and I relaxed on our porch sipping coffee and watching the kids play freely. The heavy bass lines added a vibrant new energy to our once stiflingly quiet street. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as I clicked through my presentation slides methodically earlier. Board members nodded in agreement as the full extent of her abuse became obvious. Carol's attempts to cry victim fell completely flat against the mountain of hard proof. After the vote, relief washed over me like a cool wave on a hot day. The kids ran up to me later, hugging me tight with joy in their eyes. Life has returned to a new kind of normal in our little corner of suburbia. The HOA meetings are now productive and focused on actual community improvements instead of vendettas. I even invited some neighbors to jam with us, creating bonds through shared love of music. Who would have thought that a heavy metal garage studio could heal what a Karen broke? In the end, the biggest noise problem was never my kids or my garage band rehearsals. It was Carol's deep-seated hypocrisy and addiction to petty power that had ruined the harmony. Now our suburb feels truly peaceful with a touch of rock and roll freedom forever.